of the event. Thank you for coming. What I'm going to do is talk about identity protection. I use this presentation a lot at offices when I'm working with companies because most employees don't have a good handle on identity protection or understanding what to do about it. And it's one of those topics that I think needs to be drilled into people's heads. So I got some questions, and I do this at every presentation. Who's on the internet now? Like all of us? How do you connect to the internet? Who do you use? Do you use Comcast? I don't know. It sounds stupid. I live in Connecticut. I'm never there. I don't even know who the cable companies are anymore. I can tell you who's in Texas. Who's Optimum? Is Fios here? Or Verizon? Yeah. Okay. Any others? Oh, Cox. Okay. Okay. Good. Anyone doing online banking? We all are, right? Anyone doing online banking with a cell phone? Using the app? Okay. What else is on? I got to ask a question. Your cell phone, do you have antivirus on it? No. Do you get emails on your cell phone that are the same emails that go to your home account that get marked as spam or viruses? But you get it to your cell phone and you don't protect your cell phone. Think about that for a second. Oh, wait a minute. Your cell phone has everything on it that your home computer does. All your emails, all your contacts, all your passwords. Oh, sounds like a good thing for me to play with, okay? Anyone got kids, young kids at home? If you have young kids at home, this is really terrible. There's a piece of software called Spectre 360. It's used in business because it records and tracks everything somebody does. I tell parents, tell your kids you put it on the computer. It doesn't show up in add and remove programs. It doesn't show up on the start menu. It doesn't show up anywhere. That's the way it's supposed to work. But you tell your kids you put it on the machine. And guess what? Their behavior on the computer is completely different because they think you can monitor everything they're doing. Really works well. Who's not been an identity theft target? Is anyone here yet not had their identity? Really? Between Equifax, Target, Home Depot, really? You're the rarest of the rare, okay? Because as far as I know, last year was like 20 times I got hit, okay? Okay. Computer scene possessed? I love this. People click on stuff all the time and have no idea what they're clicking on. So what are the bad guys looking for? Reality? Bad guys are looking for social security numbers. They're looking for mother's maiden name, date of birth, billing address, email address, account passwords, passwords themselves, okay? This sounds really stupid. If you are a new mother and you come back to work, the password is your kid's name, the new child's name. Same thing with grandparents. Walk into somebody's office and you see the shrine to the New York Yankees and it's the shrine to Aaron Judd. There's the password. I mean, it's so obvious, it's ridiculous, okay? Now, there are two ways that these people are doing it. One of the ways that people are doing it is they're actually going offline. This is really tacky. By the way, time to do this is November this year. I go into your mailbox. Do you get your bank statements for credit cards? Inside that, by chance, do you get the blank checks? Oh, wait a minute, it's November. I know you get the blank checks. So if I steal your credit card statement, and this is the really scary part, some of the credit card statements that are out there put the full credit card number on your bill. The whole bill. So I pick up the phone and go, hi, I'm George. I'm getting ready to move to Hawaii. What do I need to do? I'm looking at George's bill. Well, okay, you need to fill out this form. Okay, I go online and do it. Okay, thanks a lot. I'm about to hang up now. I got to call LifeLock. I want to get that protection. Well, sir, we sell that same thing as well. Well, why should I buy you? And I know the guy on the other end of the phone, who's the call agent, is saying, because I get a spiff. I get money if I sell this. Okay, well, what do I have to do? Well, we just have to give you some information. Well, my account number is, my address is, but I'm getting ready to move. What's your PIN number, your password? I don't know. I have a password? Yeah, when did I get that? When I started the account. Well, this account's old. I don't remember that. I'll have to go find out from my wife what it is. I'll call back later. No, sir. We can reset it. I just need to know your home address and a couple of things. Now I've reset the ID to me. I moved to Hawaii. You can get fake ID really easy. What's the first thing that happens when you walk into a department store? Would you like a credit card? And I start building credit card. That simple. One, you can contact your banks and say, one, don't ever send me a statement with my full credit card number in it. Two, you don't ever want the blank checks sent to you. And trust me, November, every one of you will get one because you haven't told them not. And you're waiting for your credit card bill in the mail, right? You're just waiting for it to come. No, so if you don't get it, you don't have to pay for it, right? Think about that. That's how easy it is to do it offline, okay? Online, it's a lot easier. This sounds so silly. Who's had Gmail for a long time? How long you had it for?
10 years.
10 years. Mother's maiden name, where you went to school, and your date of birth. There's your reset questions, unless you changed it.
Date of birth, 1987.
Shh. That's your reset questions for Google. So I go to Gmail and I say, I forgot. What's it going to ask me? Your mother's maiden name, where you went to school, and your date of birth. Now, I look in your Gmail account and I see that, oh, you have a Bank of America account. I go to Bank of America and said, I lost my password. Where are they going to send the password back to? Your Gmail account, which I own. At this point, your account's gone, okay? Change your hints. Absolutely change your hints. My mother's maiden name is Santa Claus. I grew up on Mars and I was born in 1900. Don't I look good for 219 years old? You don't have to use the real stuff. Change the real stuff out. It's the stuff only you know. It's funny when I call the bank and say, well, what's your mother's name? I say, Santa Claus. Really? Yeah. Where were you born? Mars. No, you weren't. Well, what does the system say? Mars. Okay, it's you. It doesn't have to be real stuff. So you want to think about how you present yourself. Now, I'm going to be blunt. For those of us who have parents, think about them technology-wise. They are sitting ducks for this stuff. So you want to do something. One, let's shred our mail. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people throw bills and the blank checks out in the garbage can without even shredding them. And let me be very clear about this. There's nothing illegal about me going through your garbage can when it's outside your house. It's considered public domain, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Same thing for your business, okay? Phishing attacks. I don't think there's a day that goes by we don't get some type of phishing attack where somebody's clicking to say, do this. Hey, I won. I want you to know a statistic that I just found out recently. You know the Nigerian attacks? It still works 2% of the time. And if I can buy 1 million names, which I can, for $150, and I can get 2% of those million names to respond to me, it's a pretty profitable day if I'm a bad guy, okay? Obviously, internet scams. So I think everybody knows what phishing is. It's, think before you click, okay? Now, some of the computer programs and a lot of the email accounts are getting better at protecting you. But I'm going to say this, if you're a business, think about some employees. And I'll tell you the time to do a phishing attack that works, 90% of the time. Somebody's going on vacation and they want to clean out their mailbox, or they've just come back from vacation and they have 400 emails to read. Do you think they think about each step, or they go ding, 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 ding? By the time they did the third one, it's over. Internet scams. You want a free TV. You can buy software for free. All you have to do is send me your address, your name, and your social security number for tax purposes. The TV set one, I was involved with the FBI. In 23 minutes, they harvested 112,000 names from one phishing attack. This is one that I love to show, and I want to kind of drive this one here. You'll notice that it says, hey, there's a problem with your bank account. Now, first of all, I know I don't have a First Tennessee banking account. But more importantly, if you highlight over where it says First Tennessee banking and not click on it, you'll notice that the URL is really bankingfirsttennessee.biz. Now here's the scary part. How many people look at the URL every time they click on it? And I can get an HTTPS certificate for the .biz, and you never know it. Here's where it gets really bad. If you're surfing on a mobile phone, you never see the full URL in the browser. So if I can send something to somebody who will open it up on a mobile phone, guess what? It's over at that point in time. I own them. This is really easy to do. People don't look at the URL. They don't look to see if it's an HTTPS, and they don't look at the full detail of that URL. Obviously, getting a shredder, paying a tail to missing mail. And I have people, well, I get all my bills electronically to my Gmail account that has the default passwords on it. Talk about passwords in a little bit. Hi, social media. Is there anyone not on social media? I mean, I have a Facebook account, I logged in once. I have a LinkedIn account, I've logged in once. Now, every time I do a blog posting, it pushes it to LinkedIn for me, but I don't go to LinkedIn to log in. You would believe what you can see on a login site, on a LinkedIn site, okay? Between Facebook and all of the others. Let me give you a quick statement here that's a good statement to know about social media. If you have a family member who's taking pictures of the kids, did they, in the phone, turn off location identification? Because if you're taking pictures on your cell phone and you're posting to Facebook, it gives me the geographic location where you are. Here's the real bad one. Oh, look, I'm taking the kids to Disney World. Look at me posting pictures of Disney World. That tells me that there's no one at your house. Here's the scary one. Take pictures, not lock them to family only, put the geographic location in it. I'm a real bad guy. I'm not, but I'm a real bad guy. I see that there's this little girl, Sue. Sue went to Disney World a year and a half ago. She's carrying around her pet frog. 2 weeks ago was her birthday party. 4 weeks from now is going to be a grandparents' party. You think if I showed up at the school and said, hey, Sue, I'm your Uncle Jay. Huh? I don't know you. Don't you remember we were in Disney World last year when you were walking around with your frog? And did you like the present I gave you for your birthday party 2 weeks ago? I'm going over to pick up Mom and Dad. We're going to go over to Grandma's to talk about a party. You want to ride? How fast do you think that kid's getting in the car with me? And it's all from information that you've posted online. If you're on vacation, post after you get back. And go into your phone and turn off the geographic location. All you have to do is look at the metadata of a picture, and it'll actually show me where you took that picture from. Really scary stuff to do. How do we communicate today? Who sends paper letters? Who's written a letter in the last... Okay, is it just me? Okay, postcards maybe? Okay. We send it by Xbox, we send it by Wi-Fi, we call, we do various... Anything that you post on the internet is there forever. I'm just going to make that statement. It's there forever. Archive.com, great site. It'll roll back so you can look at websites that are 3 or 4 years old or 14 years old. It's a really neat site to go. Look at social media. Think about all the clicks. My Friends, MySpace. There's a place that's gone away, right? Where's the data for all that stuff? Okay? You know, the last speaker talked about the issue of what do I do with your data? You think these guys are having a little problem right now? Facebook? With the European Union and California rules? Here's the scary part that I've thought about a lot. Who's got voice over IP telephones in their office? Do you have an employee manual that says the company can monitor what you're doing, blah, 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 blah? If I go to your office and I pick up your phone, did you tell me that you can monitor my phone call? So if you're the network administrator looking at the network traffic, you're eavesdropping on my phone call without my permission? And what if I'm backing up that traffic? I have yet to figure out, and I don't think anybody is, how do you delete stuff out of the backups to be compliant? There's an interesting question. I don't know. But we don't even tell people, if you're using my equipment in my office, we can monitor what you're doing. I'm telling people, put a sticker on a phone, just like you put the sticker on the computer that says, if you're using our network, you're giving us permission to monitor what you're doing. That's if I'm a good guy. If I'm a bad guy, that's another story. Okay? Look at Twitter and what Twitter does. And Twitter just announced yesterday, they accidentally were using phone numbers and emails for other purposes than using for the security stuff that you gave it to them for. Okay? LinkedIn. God, LinkedIn is such a wonderful site for a bad guy. I know where you work. I know your family history. I know everything about you. And here's the really bad part. What do you do in IT? What kind of stuff do you do?
Research.
Researcher. You know, I need a researcher for my company. It's paying $230,000 a year. It's in Hawaii. You interested? Come on down. Let's sit and talk. So what kind of tools do you want to use for research? Because I'm going to make you the guy in charge of it. You think you're going to tell me the tools you use right now or the tools you don't know? If I do this to an IT person, they're going to tell me what they're using in their network right now. So as part of the job interview, I'm actually social engineering them and getting everything about them. And no one even thinks about that as a risk. Okay? Another one. This is the scary part. This, and I could add this slide 20 more times, is all the social media spaces. Multigo is a great tool that you can get and play for free, where you can actually look at social media and track people to see what they do. It's kind of scary when you see what your footprint looks like. What I always say to people about social media is real simple. If you're going to do it, know what the security rules are, know who you're talking to and what you're talking to. Just don't post it and not think about it. If you're going to use Facebook, make it private for your family and friends. And every time Facebook changes their privacy settings, you need to go and look at it. Because here's the scary part. If you say to me, Jay, you're the only one who looks at it, and I don't make my stuff private, then somebody looking at my stuff is going to see your feeds. So it's getting the whole family to understand what that is. Okay? Now, the other part about these things, and I'm actually working with a lady right now. She got an email. This is so amazing. Hi, Grandma. I'm contacting you by Facebook. I'm in jail. Please don't tell my parents. I need $500 to be bailed out. Now, I did not know that when you're in jail, besides getting one phone call, you get one free internet use on Facebook. And this lady ran all over town to get the money for this kid. There's a lady in Washington, her child was kidnapped. Give me $30,000 and you'll never see your kid again. And here's the scary part. The mother never picked up the phone to the cell phone and said, honey, are you okay? Just doing that. This stuff works and it scares people. Okay? Cyberbullying is another issue that we're seeing a lot of, okay? So you need to think about what is the privacy of what you post, what's the information you post about others. I have a very simple philosophy. If I don't want my boss to see what I'm posting, I should never post it. And I don't post anything about a company unless the company tells me that's my job to do. I just keep my mouth shut, and guess what? It keeps me out of trouble. I say this to you, for those of you who have kids. Within 5 years, as part of your coming to a job, I can guarantee it'll be, I want to look at your Facebook account and see what you posted socially. Or they're going to go look at your public social. How many pictures have you seen of kids who are drunk in Mexico on the side of the road? And you want to work for my company? No. Because they're not thinking about what they're doing. Okay? I love this picture. It kind of says what social media is all about. Okay? It's really a good slide. By the way, once again, these slides will be available after the conference. And customize them to your heart's belief. This is my favorite of all the dumb ones. Hi, I'm on vacation. I'll be in Hawaii for the next 2 months. On Twitter. And guess what? This person's house was broken into 32 times. It was really good. The favorite one is a Twitter one that I don't post anymore. Hi, it was the freak Halloween snowstorm about 4 years ago in Connecticut. Hi, the house has no electricity, so we've left. The house has had no electricity for 24 hours. Anyone know what the battery life of an alarm system is before the backup of battery on an alarm system goes down? 24 hours. 25 hours, thieves went through a neighborhood and hit every house in that neighborhood. Obviously, malware, just click on it, and it's going to load malware on your machine, okay? But the stupid ones is, my wallet was stolen, I'm stuck in Rome, send me money now. And that stuff still works. People don't think about it. I didn't even know you were in Rome. Now, the joke of it is, people will go, Jay, it could be you, because guess what? You travel all the time. But it's amazing what people will post up there and people will respond to instead of calling and vowing. Malware, I'm going to be very blunt about this. There's lots of ways to get malware on machines. Number one way today, social media, putting bad software on social media, and putting it on cell phones. Now, we were talking outside in the lobby, so I just want to kind of hit you with this. If you've not heard about this, there's a cable called a USB Ninja cable. And there's a couple of other names for it. It is basically looks like a plug-in cable that you use to charge your cell phone with. They come in FireWire, they come in Lightning, USB-C, USB-A, or micro USB, or micro. Inside of it, inside the charging cable, it has a payload in it. So the payload can either A, get your phone, or B, when you plug your phone in, it gets your computer, and they can be remotely operated. I'm going to ask this question. How much of the world is Apple phones? How much of the world is Android phone? Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that about 98% of all the phones in the world? People say, why do people attack Microsoft all the time? Because Microsoft on the desktop is 90+%. On phones, it's either iPhone or Android. So if I'm a bad guy and I write something from Android, I get half the world. If I write something bad for iPhone, I get the other half of the world. Here's the scary part. There are software packages in both the iPhone store and the Google store that have malware and software already in it that you download from their store. If you don't have an antivirus program on your phone, boo-hoo to you. And you can get it for free. Okay, Lookout is an example of a piece of software that you can do it. But you got to think about your phone just like you think about your home computer. Because the malware is there, and it's really nasty stuff. Okay? Here's the invitation on the bottom of the screen with plugins. Now, one of the things that Microsoft's doing with Office 365 is they've just announced recently, they're stripping a lot of the attachments that are bad attachments out in Office 365. So if you're using Office 365, you can't get a JavaScript to come into your machine. Unless you package it in something else and zip it, the JavaScript file or some of the other files, they're just blocking those file types before it even comes in. If you're not using Office 365, what technology do you have to protect your device? Now I'm going to make two statements here. If it is my company's device, I'm giving my employees a cell phone, I'm giving them, then that device needs to be mobilely managed using mobile management software, like mobile device management software, where I can put patch management, I can control the device, and I can control what's on the device. If it's an employee-owned device and they're connected to my network, what's the controls that you have in place to protect that device? I joke about this all the time. I've actually walked into a company where the employees don't have to have a password on their phone. And if I pick up their phone and I just send an email saying, "Hi, I quit," that ruins their day. Okay? And guess what? There are people like that. Okay? There's a big telecom operator, I won't say which one, where all the employees for the cellular phone company don't have to have a password on their phones. Really? They have access to all the back-end systems on their cell phone with no password required. Okay, that's dumb to me. Okay? Facebook, there are lots of malware that's on Facebook. Lots of links, lots of pictures where you can get malware on Facebook. It's a great place to do it. Okay? People don't think. Bogus Facebook groups is another site. Think about the privacy that we need. I think about it this way. If somebody's giving me something for free, what is in it for them? They either want something about my privacy, they want to know something about my history, or they want to know something about me. Because why did you spend money to build something for free and never have a way to generate any revenue from it unless you're getting something else that I'm not thinking about? It's amazing what you can do to people. A good friend of mine has been told, you don't open up attachments. And she doesn't open up attachments. You know, if she gets an attachment for somebody, she goes, "I'm not sure, Jay, will you look at this for me?" Okay, I know a lot of people who want, well, it's a friend, I'll open it up. And it was a Christmas card last year. And she said, "Jay, it's a Christmas card from a friend. Is it okay to open it up?" I said, "Well, do me a favor, send it to me, and I'll open it up in one of my test machines." And there was an end-user license agreement. Everybody know the EULAs? Anyone ever read those? In the EULA, it said, this is what it said about page 52. For you opening up this greeting card and allowing us to install the viewer, you give us permission to send this greeting card to all of your friends on our behalf. And if you want to remove it, it'll cost $1,000. Click! It hit 64 places in their registry. Now, because I was doing this, I knew what it was. And she said, all my friends are sending this. All your friends are really screwed because they've lost all their data. And they didn't think about it because no one reads the permission. Oh, look, I got this free game off the store. Did you read what the free game is? I love this one. There's a FTP program. Now, no one should be using FTP as far as I'm concerned. You should be using secure FTP. There's an FTP program, and in the end user license it says, in agreement for us giving you this free software, you agree to share your username and password with us and our partners. No! You're not going to do that, but people don't read it, so they don't know about it. Okay? Who's looking at your stuff? Is it employers? Is it customers? Is it universities? Is it hackers? Is it people who want to break into your company's network? Think about this. I look at your LinkedIn group for your company. I know all the employees. Then I go to the Facebook page, and I become friends with some of them. Oh, I want to get to the IT people. Or even better, I want to get to middle managers who are not technically astute. Because they're not going to think about what they're clicking on. Okay? LinkedIn. This is the license that LinkedIn says. You can install your stuff and use our stuff, but we own your data forever. Is that okay? And it gives us royalty-free right to copy, prepare, use, analyze, record, and do everything with your commercial information. How many people do you think have read that and said, no? Okay? Okay? What do you call it? For a piece of software on the machine. Okay? Create your own quiz. Who's Facebook sharing their data with? Facebook and LinkedIn is getting better. Kind of. But if you've given them agreement, because I'm going to play Candy Crush or whatever, what is Candy Crush doing out of it? Okay? This is the evolution of Facebook, and every 6 months they change their privacy policy, and you need to go back and look at what their privacy policy changed, what's default on and what's default off, because they keep changing the rules, and sometimes when they change the rule, they turn everything back on, and then you have to turn everything back off. It's just like if you download Microsoft Windows and you install Windows 10, if you don't do anything, it turns all the privacy settings off and it'll share information with Microsoft. Now, if I'm not, as a company, using Cortana to speak to it to find my research, then why do I want to share that stuff with Microsoft? By the way, same thing as using Alexa, same thing as using Google Voice, Siri. What's the settings that we're setting for our organization to protect our organization's data? Have we thought that through? Remember that a friend of yours is a friend of mine, and if the friend of mine isn't sharing, has got everything open, then what I put on their feed, everybody else on their feed sees. So you got to get people to set the settings to each other to be correct. Okay? URL shorteners. I love this one. I'm going to take a really long URL and make it short, so that when you click on it, you have no idea what you're clicking on. When I send out a URL, I'll say, here's the long URL, here's the short URL, click on the long one preferred. But it's amazing how many people will click on a short URL and have no idea what they're clicking on. And by the time they've clicked on it, it's over. By the way, this is really bad for developers. Unfortunately, a lot of developers log into their computers either as root or administrator. So if their machine gets hit and they're running at that level, their network connections are also compromised. By the way, there is also a privacy setting that you need to know about, or a group policy setting that you need to know about in Windows. By default, when Windows sees a share, the thing that Windows will do is try and put your credentials to that share automatically for you. There is a setting that says, only do this if it's in my domain. That setting is not on by default. So if I set up a web server on the internet and you're a developer and my file share says, send me your credentials, in the background, your computer is going to send me your credentials without you knowing about it. So going back into the privacy, into the group policy settings and say, only allow the domains that I own to get that automatically, otherwise prompt the user for those credentials, is a really good setting. And as long as we're talking about settings, there's one other setting that's a good setting that you should do in Windows. When Windows was originally created way back when, with Microsoft and with IBM, back in the early days, Microsoft said, we've got to come out with a better way than passing user credentials in plain text. And Microsoft licensed a technology from IBM called LAN Manager. And what LAN Manager does is it converts the password to a hash, and it passes the hash across. For those of you who don't know, once something's converted to a hash, it should never be able to be converted back. But LAN Manager had a couple of problems. First problem, it broke all passwords to use uppercase only, not uppercase and lowercase. So even though there was a possibility of 256 characters on the keyboard, LAN Manager only used 128. The second thing that LAN Manager did is it broke the passwords into 7-character blocks. So because of security, I want you to have an 8-character password. There was 1 character in the second block with 6 zeros. There's only 127 possibilities. People broke LAN Manager. And there's lots of tools like Can Enable, Jack the Ripper, Loftcroc, that are tools that you can put on a network and just say, sniff the network, and you watch the LAN Manager hash go by. There's a group policy setting that a lot of companies have not set to take LAN Manager hash from version 0 and make it at least LAN Manager version 2. If it's still at LAN Manager 0, which is the default settings, guess what? Anybody who puts a sniffer on your network can see all the passwords of your users without doing anything, passively. So here's the example of shortening that hacker name. www.hacker.com, bad site, infect your PC. But I put this little bitty LI on it. People click on it. Thank you very much. I own your machine. Think about third-party apps that you put on phones. Talk about this all the time. I can't tell you how many phones I've looked at forensically, and the amount of data that's leaving that phone is unbelievable. For those of you who are in research or have a good forensic lab, take a cell phone, turn the cellular modem off, put Wi-Fi on, and then go monitor the Wi-Fi traffic leaving that phone. And all of a sudden you'll be like, we have a problem here. We really do. Okay? Look at the comments. Look at copyright, child protection acts, cyberbullying. There's lots of legal issues coming. The privacy issue is the big one right now that everybody's thinking about. You know, no one really paid attention to privacy until we're going to get sued for it. Or, oh, wait a minute, it's 4% of the gross of your company. Okay, you have my attention. Ask Google, ask Facebook, okay? But it's only a matter of time until people start doing it. I was actually in San Antonio. This is really terrible to say. And there were a group of lawyers having a conference in a room next to me, and they were talking about how they're going to start suing under cyber privacy related acts. And they were training the lawyers on how to do this. And I just see this as, you know, you're going to see slip and fall, like we see slip and fall in car accidents. We're going to see a lawyer out. Has your privacy been compromised? We're going to sue for you. Okay? Cyberbullying, Facebook, sharing activities. Think about social networking. At your company, I'm going to make a very simple statement. I would block social media and Gmail sites and OneDrive and all those sites completely from all employees, except if you've got a group of people who are in your marketing department who do social media. Those are the only people who should get it. No employee inside your company should be able to go to social media sites as part of their work on their work computer, because it's an easy way to infect the work computer and compromise the computer. Okay? Ethics, God, I wish I could give you great answers on ethics. It's all about the company and the company procedure. But do employees even know the policies and procedures of the company? Or is it, hi, you work for us, here's the employee manual, sign the first page and go to work. And the first page says, I've read the manual. Well, sign it and go to work, but I haven't read it yet. Well, read it afterwards, but sign the first page. There's a story I always tell about policies because it's so good. I had a friend of mine who used to work for a big Fortune 10 company at the time. The first letter was G, I don't remember the other letter. And he was the mainframe operator back in the 70s. And by 79, the mainframe, and they built their own mainframe, it was like out of date, but they had one application running on it. And he had been there for like 34 years. Short story, he says to his boss, I'm going to retire. He said, okay, end of the year. And then the bosses realized he's the only one who knows how to keep the mainframe running. It had tubes in it. So his boss goes to his boss and says, what am I going to do? He says, train somebody. Who am I going to train on a tube mainframe? He's the guy who helped build it. So double his salary and go hire somebody to rewrite the application. Long story short, it takes 7 years. They still haven't redone it, and they keep doubling his salary. He's so tired at this point because the weather's bad. It's Bridgeport, Connecticut. He just wants to get out. Comes June, he doesn't send the report out, waiting for people to call saying, hey, Joe, where's the report? July, nothing. August, nothing. September, nothing. November. No one's reading the report. His boss says, well, Joe, they're almost done with it. He said, look, no one's reading the report. I don't care anymore. I'm done. January, I'm gone. So he goes to his boss's boss and said, what do you want to do? He says, listen, tell Joe we'll double his salary. You have till January 15th, because people are on vacation, to make sure no one needs the report. No one needs the report. We're done. Says, Joe, would you? And his wife goes, for doubling your salary for 15 days, go do it. End of the 15 days, Joe, no one needs it anymore. They turn off the mainframe. $36,000 a month they save in power, in cooling. But the rest of the story is the best part. Joe goes downstairs to HR and says, hey, I'm going to take early retirement. And the senior VP goes, Joe, you've been here 46 years. What's early retirement? He says, well, would you make my paycheck and my sick time for the next 3 years payable to my house in Florida with my automatic 5% raise? And the guy looks at him and says, what are you talking about? You can't have more than 6 months of vacation time and more than 6 months of... He says, that's not what my employee manual says, the one that's 47 years old. And it says in his employee manual that's 47 years old, if he does a good job, he's guaranteed at least a 5% raise. He said, I must be doing a real good job because for the last 7.5 years, you've doubled my salary. And he was the second highest paid person after Jack Walsh, and no one knew who he was for 3 years. Because how did people get updated with what the policies are? So a couple of statements here. Don't use the same password for everything you do. Flat out. Get a password management process. You can get them for your enterprise, but you can also get them for home. There's LastPass, there's RoboForm, there's KeePass. The trick is you need to know the level of encryption of those systems. LastPass has been compromised. RoboForm uses AES 256-bit. It has not been compromised. The nice part about RoboForm for me is I'm the only one who knows the master key. So I can hand you my file, but unless you know my master key, it does no good because it's encrypted using AES 256-bit encryption. And they make it both for the enterprise and for personal. And every site that I go to has a unique password for every single site that I go to. As a matter of fact, let me do this as a quick one. Am I connected? What? Say what? They're okay, but you just got to know what the security models are, okay? When you start looking at these things, you want to think about how they secure it and how they protect it. And then what I do is, once I go in and I reset my password, then on each site, I reset the hints, because the password program is going to keep the hints. So my mother's main name is Santa Claus, the next site is Ferrari, the next site it's Jeep, the next site it's Abba. I don't have to remember it because the password program remembers it all for me. Couple of trips here. If you want to get out of Facebook, there are some techniques to do this. You've got to go in, you got to delete it. You can't go back in for another 15 days, the 30 days now. Otherwise, it automatically reactivates your Facebook page. You got to tweet. Twitter takes up to 30 days. MySpace, the same idea. Couple of last statements I want to make. Public computers. I travel a lot. I was actually at a Marriott hotel getting ready to do online checking, and I use a privacy, and I do some things myself. And this guy pushes me out of the way, says, I need the computer now. Okay, go ahead, it's that important. After he gets done, I hit the back button on the browser, and I'm in his checking account. I said, excuse me, he goes, what do you want? I said, come here. What? Is it okay if I play with this? How did you get to that? You never logged off. You didn't think about the computer. You didn't think about the security. Oh, I'm sorry. What should I do? People don't have any clue. Okay? I use a USB to go drive. I plug my drive into the Marriott computer, reboot the computer. I use my own hard drive. I don't even use their computer. Okay? And I turn on encryption. But people don't think about it. Sitting in a hotspot at Starbucks, wherever, think about the security or lack of it. Because I could just be sitting there watching what you're doing. Okay? How do you know you're in trouble? You get the email from Equifax, the letter from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. One of the things that you can do is you can reach out to all of them. It's free now, and say, lock my credit accounts. It's free. They'll lock your credit account. Now, that means if you go into a store and you want credit, they're going to say, no, you can't get credit until you unlock it. But if you're walking into a store, then you can say, hey, unlock the credit for this one person to look at it, and I'm done. At bare minimum, that's the best thing you can do right now to protect yourself, okay? What?
Freeze.
Credit freezes, okay? If you're a victim, you need to contact the Federal Trade Commission. They'll have a form you fill out, and you have an affidavit that you give to the state, to your police. Your local police aren't going to do anything, but by you filing a police report, that means if you filed a fraudulent report, you can go to jail. That's what the credit card companies and the banks want to know. You need to be proactive on what your credit cards are doing. This is one of those ones. Look for the transaction every month that's 99 cents. What is that 99 cents? Is that somebody setting to see that you're not looking at your bills? Or is that an ongoing expense that you never looked about? I actually was working this with somebody and said, oh, well, take a look at it. She had a $20 bill every month for the last 3.5 years, and she had no idea what it was for. And with that, I have a simple thing. Think about the value compared to the risk and what you're doing, especially online. Use social media effectively, clearly, to know what you're doing, and block your personal geographic location. Be aware of the risks and think about what you click on. And with that, I thank you guys very much for sitting through this session.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.